Hey, everybody. Welcome to Wellness Wednesdays with CJ. It's me, your girl, Christian Jackson, the daddy issues expert. I'm a licensed mental health counselor here in South Carolina, and I treat women who are recovering from relationship trauma. That's something new I'm trying. Is maybe rolling off the tongue. I don't know. I'm trying to make sure I let y'all know how and who I serve. So y'all let me know what that feels like. I see people already popping in. So let me just tell you what I have for y'all in the store tonight. You already know it's something real special because your girl put on a whole face and curled her hair, child. Okay, so I'm really excited to bring y'all great conversation this evening. Every Wednesday or Wednesday, every 2 Wednesdays ish, I come here and I talk about mental health awareness stuff. What I really want to do for you all is to break down what daddy issues are in a different way. Okay, and so you might have heard me if you're new to the Couch Crew, aka the supporters of myself, Christian Jackson, here at Couch with Christian, then you know I've written a couple of books here. Daddy Issues is a manual that I wrote for books from women, but men have been reading it too, and I've been getting really good feedback, which is pretty cool. This is my story as well as that of people that I have been treating on my couch in individual therapy for almost 10 years. And so I found a running theme all the way back to issues with your dad. I'm hearing stuff like, I don't trust people. I can't trust people. I don't feel safe in my own body. I get abandoned and rejected. I'm too clingy to people. I be saying stuff to my man and I be popping off and I don't know why. Like this whole bunch of stuff going on. And what I'm trying to do a better job of here at Couch with Christian is giving you a chance to name your trauma. I fully see and believe and understand what daddy issues are. In fact, there's a whole symptom that I put in here, a whole cluster of symptoms, a diagnosis, if you will, in the book so that you can have clinical language with whatever you may be experiencing. But I really want to give you that chance to do that. So that's I'm pivoting, right? My business coach is working with me on that because I want to make sure that y'all understand what y'all are going through and you get to name it. And if I just happen to add a little sauce to it, that's my job, right? So if you guys want to get to know me, my content, be a part of the Crew, all you got to do is follow. You can get to know me on my page, catch my vibes by just going to my Instagram page at Couch with Christian. You can find my website, couchwithchristian.com. But tonight is not about me. Like, I'm more excited about introducing you guys to some experts that I have come across the interwebs over the last few months and met doing some lives of my own with these people. So I'm super excited about that. This is a special evening because I have been, again, pivoting and trying to promote some of the new things I have coming down the pipeline for Couch with Christian, and in an effort to make sure you guys are a part of that and know what's going on and really, again, expand the lens of what daddy issues are, what they are to you. Then I want to bring you different types of professionals. So y'all know I'm a licensed therapist. I do mental health therapy here. I offer clinical language to what daddy issues are. It's emotional trauma. That's how I treat people when they come on my couch. And I also have some relationship coaches backstage here ready to give you guys the tea on what they are seeing supporting their clients. And one of them is actually a trained social worker, which is amazing. So she can give us both sides of the coin here. So I'm really excited to introduce to you. First, we're going to bring Cassandra up here. But before I do that, I want to make sure that y'all know I'll be monitoring the chat. I see some people popping in. And then I will answer the question, have the questions sent to, and I'll answer and try to moderate as best I can so that everyone can see and get their stuff answered. Okay. And then once they introduce themselves, then we're going to get right into it. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Cassandra on first and allow her to introduce herself. Sis, you ready? Hey.
I am ready. Hello, hello, hello.
Hey, welcome to the show. Welcome to Wellness
Thank
Wednesday,
you
sis.
for
And
having me for Wednesday wellness.
yes, I'm super pumped here. Thank you for being here because I know that you're going to offer an amazing, unique perspective. And so I'm gonna let you tell the people who you are, girl, what you do, how you do it.
Yes, well, you guys, my name is Cassandra, and on Instagram I go by Ask Miss Cassandra, and I inspire men to create incredible memories with their loved ones. Basically, I consider myself a men's advocate and a life coach. So I do coach women, I do coach men, I do coach couples.
Mm-hmm.
I put my preferred ideal client are men,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm definitely a men's advocate in terms of providing language and helping men express their emotions and being able to express what they actually want in a relationship. And so there's just like this misunderstanding culture teaches us, and because of how men operate, that the number one thing on a man's mind is sex.
Mm-hmm.
And so we become hyper vigilant around that. But a man who's ready to commit, while sex is definitely high on his list, so is partnership. And
Ooh.
so while we have been spending all this time trying to be so sexy and so appealing, and also that's just how the female brain works. The female brain is wired to want to be attractive.
Mm-hmm.
However, she expresses what looks attractive.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, we're missing the mark on being able to connect with men. So
Mm.
learning lots about that, and so I'm super
Mm-hmm.
excited. So I'm ever learning. I consider myself
Yes.
just an everlasting student of men.
Yes, I love that because what the reason I specifically asked you and our next guest I'm about to bring on is because you do get that perspective from a woman's perspective, right? It's coming from a woman, and we're talking to our sisters about what the men may or may not need or want, right? So I am so excited for you to be here, and we're gonna dive in. Let me see, what else did I want to point out? The daddy issues part, holding accountability. That's a lot of what I like to talk about because just because I am giving clinical language, that's what you said that made me think of it. Clinical language to stuff, it does not mean that because you come to Wellness Wednesdays and you met Christian Jackson and she said, "Oh, I got daddy issues. That's why I can pop off at my man." That's not
Right.
what this is.
Not at
Okay.
all.
So, I am appreciating you bringing that energy where it's important for us to call a thing what it is. And if I'm being triggered by my daddy issues, my emotional trauma, my relationship trauma, not understanding men or even having the courage or insight to ask questions the way you have, then that's on me. You know what I'm saying? So coming out on the other side, I really want people to understand this whole conversation and this growth wave that we have is really more about us making sure that we understand how to handle our triggers. So thank you for that. Yonci, we're going to get into this and I'm going to bring her on so that she can introduce herself. Hey, sis.
Hello, hello. How are you?
Good. Thank you for coming on. I really
Thank you for
appreciate
having
it.
me.
Yes. So tell us who you are, what you do, and how you do it, sis.
Well, my name is Yonci. I am a relationship expert, a dating coach, and basically what I do is I make all the mistakes for you so I can go back and help you to avoid them yourself. So I'm on this journey, which is why it's called Chasing Yonci, on this journey of just understanding myself, self-discovery. And along
Mhm,
the way, I say it jokingly, but it's true. I made a lot of mistakes. And as a
mhm,
result, I have learned. I also have a focus group that I've been working with for the past 6 years. And I have
mm,
been getting information from men and women, really
mhm,
unbiased, and you start to see patterns and things like that. And so I take that information from the guys and I speak it in women's language so we can understand and try to bridge the communication gap between the two. So it's been exciting and fun.
mhm.
And I'm excited for tonight.
Yes, thank you. I really appreciate it because it's I was just when you were talking, I was thinking about the different learners, how you have like your visual learners and then people who like to, I don't know, hands-on learners. We just have different types of brains. And so
Yeah.
what you're talking about bringing to the table is like you said, putting it in women's language. We can hear it better that way, right? We're
Yeah.
probably saying the same thing. I don't know if you find that to be true, but
Oh, can I tell you a funny story about
yes,
that?
go ahead, please.
So I think it was maybe last week. So we're in my
Mhm,
group and
mhm,
I ask a question. And usually, if I'm hitting a dating snag or something like that, I'll ask. I like to get feedback. I don't like to just think I know everything and get other
right.
people's opinions. So as I'm telling this story, this guy pops on and he proceeds to try to give me advice. But it's not
Mhm,
really landing. And it doesn't feel like whatever he's saying is applicable to the situation that I was in. Like he was saying things like, maybe he's not that into you. And I'm like, no, the guy's pursuing me. Like it just wasn't landing. So the next person who gets on is a woman and she's talking to me and I'm just like, snatched my edges, like got me together, brought me
mhm.
to the throne. I was like, okay. So he's madly typing in the comments because on Facebook you can only put one person at a time. He's like,
Uh-huh.
that's what I was saying. And I was
Mm.
like, well, she
Were
spoke in a
you?
language that I understood. And
I
so
guess.
he was getting so frustrated. I was teasing him, but I'm like, you can't get mad. I was like, I appreciate the fact that you tried, But sometimes it's not about failing or saying it the right way or the wrong way. You just need it in a way that resonates. So when she was explaining it, she was able to put it into words that I could really digest. And I even see that with content a lot. There are sometimes where the person will come out and kind of attack the woman, but I'm able to put it in words of like, I know this is what you're trying to do, but this is how it's coming across. So sometimes it's just a matter of having a different way of saying the same thing so that you can receive it.
Yes, thank you. That's going to come up again tonight. I am quite sure. And that's part of the daddy issues movement for me is just, since you can't be out here calling me a hoe because I ain't got no daddy. Like, that's not the thing. Like, can we reel that back in? Let's talk about the origins of this whole thing. And, and speaking of men, I do want to bring on our last guest. It looks like Troy is ready. He's been on the show before. He's a friend to Wellness Wednesday, or at least, no, wait. I've been on yours. So I'm hosting you for the first time, Troy. I'm excited. So let's get you on the screen here so you can say what's up to the people. Hey.
What up, though?
How are you doing?
Oh, man, it's all love. I appreciate you having me on here.
Of course. Tell us, sir, who you are. Introduce yourself to the couch crew.
Oh, yeah. So I am Troy Spry. I'm a certified dating and relationship coach, a speaker, and author of the book, Teach Me How to Love While What You Don't Know Will Hurt You. And I'm friends with all of these lovely ladies right here. And my mission is simple: better people, better mates, better relationships, better communities, because they all go together. And that's what I strive to do, to help people get out of their own way in love and in dating. So that's who I am. And I'm also a frat brother to my girl, Christian,
Hey, turn up. Shout out to the bros, Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity
you already
Incorporated.
Know it.
Yes. So thank you guys so much for being on here, introducing yourself. We already have a comment in the chat from Jessica Van, who's saying, to Yonci's point, that's why she gets into definitions with clients, because of that gap in communication. So your work is so needed. Both you and Cassandra, the fact that you're the men whisperers, that's kind of in my head the easiest way to like put it together. So that's just kind of how I put it together. So here we are, you guys. I want to get straight into the conversation. You guys keep putting your comments in the chat, your questions, your feedback in the chat. I'm going to do my best to watch and keep up and let these experts here kind of take the lead in the conversation. The first thing that we want to address is this here. I just want to know, we talked about men, and my book is written for women. And at this point, I didn't have to edit it. I just feel like we need to say people in general. When they come to you for support, whoever wants to take the lead on this first, what are the things that they say they want in a partner?
I'll go. I definitely got to pick this one up.
Okay, go ahead.
Because women have a lot of demands. A lot of
demands
on what they want in a partner. But I'll give you maybe my top three. How about that?
Okay.
All right. So I would say the top three, the one word that comes up every time is consistency. That's the one word, a consistent partner. And I think that that's because it breeds security, right? Consistency breeds security. So that's true. Honesty, you hear the word honesty, and I think a lot of women just don't want to feel like they're getting bamboozled, right? They want to feel like they know, so they can make their own decisions about things. So honesty is hugely important. The other thing that I don't think they always know how to put into words is like a masculine man, right? Is what they want, right? Well, I think the way they kind of say it is they want stability, they want someone with some money, some resources, right? But I think ultimately they just want a masculine man who demands a certain level of respect, right? So those are three things I hear the most.
Okay, so big man energy. I'm trying to censor myself.
You got to think it all comes back to security, right? All of it comes back to security. So every statement I made comes back to security. So I mean, it doesn't surprise me for sure.
Yeah, there is something to feeling safe. Okay, go ahead, Yonci. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, when you said the consistency thing, because I always post and ask, what do women value most? And that's the number one thing that comes up for men. But I was explaining to somebody, it's like a chair. If you go to sit on a chair and it works fine, cool. And then the next time you sit down, it crumples. You're going to be really hesitant to sit down again. And the position of a woman who is feminine is expected to be seated. She's supposed to rest in her femininity, but she's struggling with resting because she's like, I don't know if I can trust you. It's like riding in the passenger seat of a car, and you know, that friend that always gets too close to the car in front of you and you're gripping the side. You can't relax and eat your snack or let alone go to sleep, because you're so terrified that you're not in good hands, So I think I definitely agree with what he is saying about that. That's what we're looking for sure.
Okay. Did anybody? So Troy is telling us consistency, honesty, and security, or big man energy.
Yeah, big man energy. Yeah,
yeah, that's what we're gonna call it tonight, because I don't know where I'm gonna post this at.
But that comes down to resources a lot of times, right?
Mm-hmm. You know what? Let me just pop in here, because what I'm trying to do is, again, kind of interject with the daddy issue symptoms according to Christian, right? So y'all chime in with whatever, but this is reminding me of the woman that I wrote in the book I wrote about the gold digger. So in the beginning of my book, I lay out what daddy issues are, but I categorize women that I've seen, women who I've been. So I ain't writing about nothing I didn't already been, right? Gold digger / GOAL digger, right? We get such a bad rap for wanting to feel exactly what you're talking about, and that's a security piece. So a woman with daddy issues, as society would say, is someone who just literally wants that. She's digging for the security and consistency. The way you say it is so nice, right? But then we get such a terrible rap for it. I just wanted to point that out. I wrote about her in the book. We talk about how we can get her together, right, for her daddy issues. But besides that, is there anything anybody else wants to add as far as what women come to you guys for?
I was going to say really quick, though, if I can, when you were saying women getting a bad rap, most of the guys that I have interviewed have said that they love being the provider. They don't mind that part. They don't mind sharing their coins. Their fear is that they're going to be wanted only for their coins. So that's the part that's so frustrating, is that what women want and what men want to give, there's no issue. It's the fear of it being the only thing. The same way men are looking for, a banging body and sexy woman. A woman wants to be seen as sexy, but her fear is that he only wants her for the sex. So just wanted to put that little piece in there. But I think that's really what it is.
Oh, that's a good point.
I agree, because even with the 50-50 culture, people having a lot of like pushback on that, and if you're splitting the bills with your man or your husband, he's not your man or husband, he's your roommate. Like all this rhetoric, and what it is that we're living in a society where we're built where two incomes are needed. Up until you're a single mother, then all of a sudden people expect you to figure it out. And if you're a woman and you expect a man or anticipate that a man is the one who's leading and providing, that's wrong. That's the gold digger. And the truth of the matter is, every time I ask a guy if he could, on his salary, all on his own, take care of everything and have enough for savings, trips, luxury life, investment, and it wouldn't even hurt anything, would he want his wife to still work? And like literally 9.9999 out of like 10, out of 100, 99.99% out of 100 say, nah, she good. So it's not a matter of men feeling like they enjoy or want 50-50 culture. It's that they feel like they don't know how to not have 50-50 culture, because they don't know how to create enough income to provide the lifestyle that they're living.
It's hard out here.
It is,
especially you're in California and New York. I mean, there's how much money you got to make out there.
Okay, cost of living is not it.
$250,000 out here in New York, you ain't making enough money.
Woo. That's a whole different thing.
And only other one thing I wanted to add with some of the top things that women say that they want in a partner. I think that Troy hit on everything. I think a lot of times people think that women want a lot, but you could literally put them into any one of those categories that Troy touched upon. And I would add to that penetration. And I don't mean like sexually penetrated. I mean emotional penetration. And for that requires a man to be present. And that's something that goes back to that masculine energy, and which is masculine energy is just, he's so sturdy, he's so secure, he's so certain, he's like a mountain, and a woman wants to be able to flow. And unfortunately, a lot of males are not being groomed into men. And those who are being groomed into men, I find some of the most mature men are some of the most quiet men. They're quiet, they're to themselves, they take care of business. They're not really out here in these streets. And so
flashy, right?
So the men that women often get approached by are men who have nothing to lose. So they're forward, they're talking, and they have the gift of gab and all these things. And so sometimes it's those good fellows, those good guys who don't tend to speak up too much. It's not that good men don't exist. There are good men all around us, but it's just that they're the ones who tend to, when I mean by males are not being groomed, I promise you, if those same good guys were groomed by men, one of the first challenges they would give them is this. They would say, all right, we're going out. I want you 5 men to come back to me with 10 numbers. Anticipating that he would have been rejected 10 times more than he would get a yes. They're anticipating the rejection because he wants to groom him to anticipate rejection because it's going to happen. And the more you experience rejection, the less you'll fear it. So that you can have that presence, you can evoke that strength that is often lacking. So that's what I would add.
Yes, thank you. And that you actually have a good segue into my next question. But these comments here are flowing in from Facebook. Tylette saying that in her household, that their goal is just leave a legacy for their son. So that just might mean that they split bills to make sure that happens. Like, they have rules in their relationship that they obviously follow. And Jessica has a question before I guess to move on, saying that she's heard us mention masculine energy a lot so far. So what do we say about the idea of women who are too masculine? So she says she believes in a balance of divine masculinity and feminine energy in both men and women. So what do y'all have to say about that?
I have a lot to say on that.
I think it's a matter of like recognizing. So like the male brain and the female brain can operate differently based on the amount of estrogen, testosterone, and progesterone, all the hormones that we deal with. But really and truly, if you had a brain and you just looked at it, you really couldn't be able to tell if it was a male brain or female brain, right? You actually have to see the person operating in it for it to function. So we all have masculine energy, we all have feminine energy, we all have some level of testosterone, we all have some level of estrogen. It's more a matter of how you're deciding to show up in an environment. As a single mother, I'm a masculine woman. I cannot afford to be in my feminine all the time. Nothing would get done. It just wouldn't get done. I need to be in my masculine in order to survive, because that's what the masculine energy is there for. It's there for survival, to make sure things get done. We get to eat, things are organized and so on and so forth. So to her question, a woman who is too masculine, when I'm most in my feminine energy is when I'm in the presence of masculine energy, and it takes time unless I'm around masculine energy consistently. But what that means is as I get to kind of relax and lean back. So if you're a masculine woman, I'm sure you have a reason why. And so this is not about beating you up. It's not about, telling women that they're not supposed to, it's none of that. When you're at work, you may need to defer to your masculine energy. It's totally fine. I find a way to kind of weave them in together. So I like to be structured, and my structure is pretty. So the way that I have my organizing schedule and system has lots of flowers and pretty things on it, because I like things to look, pretty. I love pink. So I would just say that. And for a gentleman who might have or be in the presence of a woman who's masculine, to get her out of that is going to be one of the things that Troy talked about, which is consistency. Any man who feels like he's tussling with a woman because she's too masculine, I can almost guarantee it's because in her experience in being with him, not anyone else, but with him, there was an inconsistency, and she's not letting go of it, because the way that women's brains do operate is we hold on to emotional memory 10 times longer than men do. So we have a file cabinet in our brain. We don't let go of emotional trauma as quickly as men do.
Come on, file cabinet. You better. Yes. This is there's a comment in here. I don't know. Did anybody else want to touch on that before we go?
I was going to just briefly say that's a huge one too. I hear that a lot, where the men are craving the woman of old that they used to see, just a lot of femininity. And I hear guys say women are cursing, they are loud, they are dressing in a non-feminine way. And I think the pendulum has swung so far with the whole women's movement that we're missing the part, because I feel like we evolve, but then we throw the good parts away. So yes, we shouldn't be barefoot in the kitchen with no rights. However, should we be in combat boots, cussing people out, acting like a dude? It's like, you got to have a balance. And so men are looking for that feminine balance. And I hear a lot of the argument for the women saying, you know, you man need to put me in my feminine energy. And I had this really interesting conversation with a gentleman who goes by SD. He has a really fun page on Instagram called What He Really Means. And he said, flip it. Can you imagine if a man was very effeminate? He was very feminine. And the woman said, I'd be more feminine. No, he said, I'd be more masculine if you could be more feminine. And, you know, it really was an eye opener of a situation, because there is the reality, which I totally agree with Cassandra. Like, you cannot function if you're a damsel in distress all day long. You have to tap in, and everyone has both parts. However, it's very hard for a woman to turn that off if she's not cognizant of it. And when she's with the guy, she continues that masculine energy. And if he's a heterosexual man, his brain is like, no.
What do I do with this?
Yeah. And I would say probably the biggest thing out the gate, before he even really gets a chance to get in the relationship with you, is the woman who showboats leading with her education and her career. And women get disgusted. They say,
is that a thing?
Yeah. Oh, girl. Yes. So we got in a heated debate in my private group about this. We did these live chats, right? And what the woman was hearing, remember we talked about at the beginning, you hear it a certain way based on your experiences. She was hearing, screw your degree, screw your successes. That doesn't matter. Get that crap out of here. That's what she was hearing. What he was hearing is, Big Papa got this. So if you are trying to flex, I'm not looking for a big papa. I'm looking for a hot mama. So you puffing out your chest, talking about your provisional qualities, you're bringing sand to the beach, honey. And so women are taking offense because a lot of them have to do this. A lot of women have to raise kids on their own. They have to go to school on their own. They have to make their own way. And we are tasked with a difficult challenge. We don't get to be like women of old who get to be damsel in distresses, living with daddy, and then moving directly into the husband's house. That's how it used to be. So she could be gone with the wind the whole time. We women go from being daddy's girls, if we're so lucky to have a daddy, then we have to go into all you, it's all you, girl, and then switch back into that role. So that's where it becomes difficult, but it's not impossible.
Yes, that is a good segue into this next question, but I don't know. Troy, did you have something you wanted to add to that?
No, I think they perfectly said it. I think it's at least to this good question. Sure.
Yes, I mean, like, this kept coming up because we're talking about the masculine energy, where you find it, daddy's girl. You know, what I kept thinking is, where do we learn these things? Yeah. So y'all talk about what you see in your work regarding the absence of a father and how that may affect men and women as they're dating.
Yeah, I mean, I'll start this one. I'll touch on this a little bit. What I see very often is this need to, you know, when there's no father around, a lot of times there's a lot of compensation from mom, right? And so mom becomes the model, right? And mom is a very masculine model at that point because she's in that mode, right? And mom also is mad at dad a lot too. So she's talking junk about dad. Right, or the dad that's not there, or she's in that hardcore kind of space all day long. So guess how her daughter starts to operate, right? When she grows up, and she's like, "Oh, my mom had to do it this way. She had 3 jobs, and she had to do this and survive." So it becomes like this button of heads of like 2 men fighting, right, inside of the relationship, right? And so I see a lot of that. The absence of that male's stability there also doesn't provide good examples of what good men look like. So what I also see is they're always chasing dad, right? Which leads to a lot of promiscuity. A lot of times it leads to a lot of need of validation. And so they keep choosing these wrong guys over and over and over again. Their idea of what a man is not really solid. So they try their hardest to find it. So they're always looking for that validation, that attention. Right. Where if your dad gave you some attention, you can rest in that. Right. I'm validated by my dad. But if it's not, these are the girls you see them often. They get it wrong really early in life, you know, until someone comes to them and they're like, you got to stop this. Right. Here's what manhood should look like. Right. So to me, that's what I see a lot of. Is there a lot of validation needing a lot of one other thing. This is how it plays out a lot of times. It's that woman who is always looking for a compliment from her man. Right. Or if he doesn't notice, you know, everything about her, he's like, or she's very insecure. right? Because she thinks dad left me, so I have to be clingy to you because if dad left me, you'll leave me,
Right.
right? So you see it play out in so many ways when I'm coaching clients. So I'll let someone else jump in there.
I was gonna say I'll flip it. So I was
Okay.
on the complete opposite end of the spectrum because we know too cold and too hot. You need the middle ground.
Right.
So I was the daddy's girl. I was the daddy's girl who daddy was like, live here until you get married. If your space isn't big enough, I will build a wing for you. Like,
oh, that's so sweet.
he was like, you are the apple of my eye. Any man is lucky to breathe the air that you breathe. If I or your brother ever hear of you even touching your wallet during a date, it's going to be problems. Okay. So I had the old school dad who just pumped me up, and shout out to dad. He is a great guy with great intentions. But the problem is that it developed a princess syndrome in me. And this is a very dangerous thing because there's this, this pendulum. All the way to the end is the princess syndrome, and it's very off-putting. It is like an odor, someone with BO walking into a room. It's like you could smell it a mile away. I don't care how cool you are. It's just I can't be around you. And it's like the extreme version of the confidence. And so what I have to do is work with a lot of women who have this attitude, I call like of the princess. And if you guys are familiar with royalty, they would have a royal court, and you would have a court jester. And so the jester would come in and perform to please the court, and then they were pleased, if not, whatever. And that's how a lot of women are positioning themselves. And so they're sitting back like on a date, go ahead and entertain me, sir. And here's the guy who's like, look, I have a lot to offer. I'm a whole person. I've got this and that. And you just want me to perform. You want me to take you out to this great date. And if I have time, I'll give you a quick example. I had a woman who was saying that the type of food that she was getting on these dates were not that great. She's like, shoot, I could cook better than these dates, And I had to stop her. I said, look, this was at my class last Saturday. I said, what is your goal in going on the date? Is your goal to have an amazing dining experience? Or are you trying to get to know this gentleman? And she kind of had to laugh at herself. She was like, oh, yeah. I said, okay, so it's okay to want certain things, but you need to put it in context and put it in perspective. So what I had to learn was how to give indicators to the guy that he is on the right track. He's doing the right thing. I am pleased. I'm a down-to-earth person. And it's the extreme, coming from the extreme opposite. You're too confident to where it's off-putting. So I think it's good that we can address women who are on either end of the spectrum.
Yes, both sides of the spectrum. I do have because I have a lot of people who are like, Christian, I'm going to support you and buy your book because I love you. But I had a daddy. So
well, we got issues too.
Okay, so there's that. I'm glad you brought that perspective in here. The princess syndrome. I had never really heard it coined that way. I love that. The comment in the chat is asking how love languages play into this. A woman could be looking for validation because a love language is words of affirmation. That is my love language. Personally, I've heard a different perspective that says that your love language is your dysfunction. It is because our trauma is our template, right? So if I didn't get the validation, like Troy was saying, as a child, then what I need, as going in the metaphor with the book, my tank is not full unless I get this validation. And so what do y'all think of that, about the love languages piece?
I don't know if I bite on that one as much in terms of the trauma. I can understand it. I think it's also the season that you're in. Like, before I had my daughter, my love language was absolutely like physical touch, and number 2 was physical touch, and number 3 was physical touch. Now my love language is acts of service, because homegrown help, and it's because my life, life changes and life scope will have you move in another direction. I've also found that a lot of alpha males, their primary love language is words of affirmation. He don't need any help. He don't need no gifts. He does. Those are not. But he would like to know that he's on the right track. That's meaningful for him because he has a path to lead. So I don't know if I bite on that. And then also, neurologically speaking, women are known, by far and large, to require to move in such a way and flaunt in such a way, looking for attention. And it's just so happens that the onset of this, depending on your race. So Asian girls are at about 13 and a half. Caucasian girls are at about 13, and African American and Latino girls are at about 11 on when they start to care about how they look and the attention that they crave. And it just so happens that boys, when they have like their first, I don't even want to
little crush, little thing.
No. When they have their first ejaculation,
What dream?
I saw this and I was like, oh, okay. I know it.
Release.
Leaving the body. You didn't catch that? Maybe I should have did another gesture, but no. So yeah, when that first happens that happens around like 13, 14. So boys kind of develop a little bit later, but that's when their hormones, when they have like a strong spike and testosterone that has them like, it's almost like did y'all see what's the boomerang? Every time Eddie Murphy saw someone, it was like, whoo, like that kind of thing. Like like that's what legit happens to young boys, like, and it just happens like out of nowhere. They really start to pay attention to breasts and the curves on the girl's body, or what they just really start to notice. And we're just kind of wired a little bit different. And I think what needs to really happen in conversations is normalizing the sexes. Like, we need to stop shaming women for wanting attention, because that's just how the brain is working, and it's there for the man's pleasure. It just happens to be compatible because a man is looking at something pretty to look at. Like, what would it be? How cruel would it be to live in a world where men are drawn to look at something that appeals to them and women just completely abhor it? Like, they're just like, absolutely not. It's synchronicity. It's to be in sync. It's to connect. It's to have us, be the opposite end of the puzzle. You know what I'm saying? So that we can click. And we need to embrace these things and become aware of them. So that even in the example that I gave in terms of like the onset of when girls tend to hit puberty, Black girls happen on average enter into that earlier. So we're not being fast. Please
that's a whole different talk, girl. Yes.
Oh yeah, and I think it's important to note though that there's a difference between like there's a difference between like
somebody touch you, no.
But see, I think there's a difference between like the attention and validation, right?
Okay.
And so attention, it's a natural thing. But when your identity, if everything that you need comes from the validation of that man telling you that you are XYZ, because people will fall apart. I've seen women fall apart. It's like, he don't want me. Why he don't want me? Right? I think that's a daddy issue a lot of times, right? Why didn't daddy want me? Yeah. Right. And they take it so far where they stalking men and they, keep going back to them as much as they mistreat them. But they're not seeking the mistreatment. They're seeking the validation that the guy wants them.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? And that they're good enough for that guy. And I think a lot of times that's where it gets lost at, and it becomes very unhealthy because of those reasons.
You made me think of something else, Troy. I think that one of the disservices that fathers also do, and in society as a whole, mothers too. Do you guys remember that show Napoli Ever After? I think it was an actual film. There was a scene in the kitchen. Yes, there was a scene in the kitchen, and the mom was comforting her, and she said, don't quote me, but she said something to the effect of comforting her daughter, don't worry, one day you'll meet your guy and your life will begin. And I was like,
oh, what?
Yes. And I think there's this constant messaging that your life begins when your partner comes into your life. And with men, don't feel too bad for women and not men, because they have a different struggle, but they're taught to go after the bag and go after their career, which leads to another issue, because then if they don't reach a certain pinnacle, they feel terrible. But men are taught to go out, sow their wild oats, and live, like just live. And so with a lot of my clients, what I see is they have a fantasy about what their dream life would look like. Yeah. And the reason they never the reason why they're not there is only because they're waiting for the guy. Once the guy comes. And so I always work on the very beginning stages of the coaching, working with them to picture, what does your dream look like? Okay, go after it. I don't care if it is buying a house. I don't care if it is traveling or whatever you think is going to keep you from meeting your guy. You actually might meet your guy doing your thing. Like maybe buying your house, you meet the realtor. Like you cannot put yourself on this, I'm not going to live until, God forbid, you don't meet your person until you're 50. What, you just wasted 50 years? So I think that's what makes women so desperate, because if they are starving and waiting for a meal, they're gonna snatch up that cafeteria tray with that crappy food on it, like it's a hungry, like it's Ruth's Chris, because they're like, I don't know when the next tray is coming. I guess a better example would be like the party where the food is passed out on the trays, like the servers are coming. You don't know what the next tray is. But if you are like, I have my food at home, first of all, you're not coming starving, okay? And second of all, if you don't get satisfied, you can go home and pop open whatever you had in the fridge. So that's, I think, super important for parents, not just dads, dads, but you got to make sure that your parents didn't keep pushing. Well, are you gonna get married? When are you gonna get married? All the questions. Like, my God.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
There are other things in life.
I think since I'm watching the time and I see so many people popping in and out, I want to thank you guys so far. I think I want to switch gears here to like a rapid fire situation, right? So I've been taking some notes with people I've been having conversations with just about daddy issues and what they're finding, dating, marriage, whatever. And I'm just going to put up a couple of just terms, little phrases that I've been hearing. These are direct quotes for everyone who I've not talked to about this. And our coaches here, our relationship experts, are going to make sure that they are ready to do their best to answer. So the first one I want to put up here for y'all is ghosting. No. Let me go back. No, that's what I want to start with. What's up with the ghosting? I don't. These are what people are experiencing. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I have something, but I don't want to hog it if someone else has something they want to say first.
No, go for it.
Yeah. Okay, so for me, I came into this dating scene because I was married like out of the womb. So I didn't start dating until like 6 years ago when I got divorced. So that was the biggest thing I was confused about. I was like, I don't understand. It's so simple. Just tell the person, da, da, da. But here's the thing. I used to be totally against ghosting. But now I feel like there is an opportunity where it is okay. There are certain times. So the reason why people who are healthy don't ghost is because you want to communicate and explain, because you feel like that person's going to receive it and then be able to move forward. When you don't feel like the person's going to be able to receive it and move forward, that's when most people are like, nah, I'm just going to ghost. So sometimes people have PTSD and they just remember from the last person, so they just keep ghosting. But some people will not take no for an answer. They will continue. Well, what about this? Well, what about this? Well, what about this? Like, no, it's no. Any way you package it, purple, violet, yellow, like, I don't know. And then you have other people who are just not gracious. I had a guy who, I have this thing. If I meet you online, we need to video chat immediately, because that's the closest thing to a real life experience to me, to kind of see if you vibe. I'm sorry, it's science, it's chemical. I can't control who I'm attracted to. But he talked to me for a while before we finally FaceTimed. And when we did, well, the app had a video. When we did, apparently my face was like, it gave me away. And he made it so odd. When I tried to dismount, like with the follow-up text or whatever, I tried to dismount and be like, I didn't really get the romantic vibe. I feel more a friend. He was like, well, your face said it all. Like, some people don't know how to pleasantly let you back away. And I feel like, people make you feel guilty. And just like a post that I did a couple of days ago, he's not a villain because he doesn't like you. And it's okay. I saw that post. It's not shallow if you're not physically attracted. You have your right to not be attracted or like somebody. And so that's the only time I feel it's not okay. I would also say, though, that there are people who ghost because they're just uncomfortable. When I was a people pleaser and I wasn't comfortable saying no and I didn't have boundaries, I noticed all the areas of my life, it was consistent. I wouldn't speak my truth and I would let things drag on and I would let guys keep calling and texting me. And then she found confidence and realized that it's okay to have feelings. And now I'm not going to say I'm savage, but I'm as far in the polite range before you enter the savage range. I'm as far as I can. I'm not brutally honest. I'm lovingly honest. So I will say, look, I'm not about to waste your time, King. I just really wasn't feeling it. Or, what? I connected with somebody and it is taking off and I'm not about to give you my 2% energy. I am quick with it. So a lot of times it's either because they think you're cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and can't take it, or they are struggling and they hate you.
They're projecting,
I give you the men side of
might
this
have been
thing,
able
though.
to take it, but you feel like they're going to spontaneously combust. Like, no, they're good.
Let me give you the men side of this thing, though.
Okay.
Right? Well, a lot of men ghost. Number one, it's uncomfortable to hurt a woman's feelings. Right?
Okay.
we hate hurting y'all's feelings. We hate the crying and y'all getting upset with us and that kind of thing. So it's easier a lot of times just be like, I'm done, right? So that's one
You're
reason.
pursuers, Troy. You
Yeah,
guys are not built for the rejection. You guys are built for the pursuing.
absolutely. So that's one thing. The second part is a lot of women will like when you apply pressure, right? So if you think about this, a lot of men will keep going because they hear from women apply pressure, right? So they will stay persistent, and then the woman gets upset and like, I don't like this guy. Women love when a man applies pressure that they like. Right? But all men hear is I got to be persistent. And so that's when women get upset. They're like, I can't talk to this dude no more. Let me just block him and cut him off. And dudes are like, what happened? I was applying pressure like she told me to. You know what I mean? So it's this other side of the story too. And also some people are just cowards, right? The other thing too is it's easier to ghost sometimes and pop back in, right? And still have a chance with the person.
Not to pop back in, child.
Guys do it all the time, right? It's easier to ghost you than say I was busy for a while or whatever. These things happen in my life.
Yeah, what you doing?
Exactly. Okay. But guess what? People, they answer. A lot of times they answer, right? When a woman is dating from a certain space, they'll answer. So anyway, those are a couple of reasons I think men will ghost too, because they want to leave that option open. They don't want to close the book. Men don't do like women do. Right? We don't close books like y'all most times. We always gonna leave a little crack in the door because it might be a late night, chance.
What about this one though? This kind of made me think. Something you said, Troy, made me think about I'm dating the same person, the same man. Because if I keep saying, replying to the "Hey big head" text, then I mean, am I falling into the same trap? What y'all think?
You
about
all
that?
in my sermon, girl.
Okay, what's happening?
What Cassandra got to say about that?
My take on this is, it could be a variety of things, right? Like some of it just could be your location, right? Like you literally just could be dating in your area, culturally speaking, and so on and so forth. But I think a lot of it has to do with, and I'm such a geek, okay? So I love science, so I just be researching stuff. It could be a lot of like RAS, your reticular activation system. It's kind of like, you're driving and driving and driving on the highway, and then you get a new car. You get this new Nissan Altima, and it's black, and 2012 or whatever, right? And now you're driving on the road, and all you see are Nissan Altimas, 2012 black, looking just like yours. You're like, how the heck everybody got this car? So
you talking about tall men with beards and bald heads?
So I think part of what it is, it's beyond the look of a man. It's the character of a man. And I think what might be happening on a subconscious level is that there are a lot of versions of a person that's inside of them. Which one is the one that you're zoning in on, right? Which one is the one that you super recognize and you are so zoned in on it? And even if you don't see it, you're looking for it. You're looking for that car. So if you've been cheated on before and you get into a new relationship, maybe this guy is not a cheater, but you're looking for that evidence of it because you're stuck in that cycle. So a lot of what it is that you're not dating the same man. You're still dating you. It's you. It's really not the quality and the character of a man that you're dating. Boo, it's you. It's you.
Perfect.
And listen, and this is like, I guess why I'm getting so excited about it. And thank you, Cassandra, because I try to look, I'm a therapist. There's only a certain way I can say certain things when I'm in therapy with people, but I ain't in the therapy chair right now. Okay. What I want to say, because you do have to be careful because, just like, Yonci brought up earlier, we hear things certain ways. We got to be careful about how we say this. But this just brings me back to making it's self-awareness. If we're going to use our trauma as a template for how we engage and operate and connect with people. And if I have been cheated on, like Cassandra was saying, and I'm just looking for that because I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop, or I just know he's not answering his phone. I think Yonci had a really funny reel I shared earlier this week about like why he didn't call me back. And he was literally, what was it, a car accident or something?
It said, well, people were laughing because I had a shark thing earlier.
Yeah, the
shark, but yeah, he was making excuses why it was 3 weeks before I heard back from him. He's like, Yeah.
Mhm.
And you're like looking for something to be wrong, because that is what I call like the trauma lens. You can't
Yeah.
use your past as a template for what could be something really great for you. Like
Mhm.
Yonci was saying, you can go and live the dream without a partner. You don't really have to have that to happen.
Mhm.
But we're all kind of conditioned to think and live a certain way, and we just kind of operate from that space. How do y'all answer this question? I want to know. Joy,
Look,
let me ask you, how do
yeah,
you
let's
answer this
talk.
question for a woman who says, "Now, Joy, is it me? Why I can't
Oh,
find no man?"
yeah. So I didn't start asking further questions, right? When I'm in a coaching session, but ultimately, a lot of times it does come down to her, right? It's her choices, it's where she positions herself, it's how she interacts on dates. Is she open to new different types of people, or she's zoned in on a specific person that's like 1% of the population, right? So a lot of times it's not even, sometimes it's not even internal stuff. It's that it's the positioning, it's all the tactics that you need to date effectively, right? So is it you? Yes, because you think you can sit in your house all day and do nothing and meet Mr. Right, right? You really see, and that stuff doesn't work. You have to work it like you work anything else, right? If you're trying to meet the right person. But a lot of women, and this is gonna get people, fired up, but a lot of women just don't like any form of criticism. Right? They take it as like the first thing you do with I see with a lot of women is defensiveness. When you start telling them, yes, it's you in these areas. Well, what if men just didn't do this, this, and this, and they start doing this thing where they reach at you and stuff like that. They start doing that
First
thing.
of all,
And it's that lack of accountability or wanting to hear it a different way or hear a different perspective that makes it hard for them to receive it. So they don't really genuinely ask that question a lot of times.
yeah. Oh, how does it come off then? Is it well, so it doesn't come off like why he can't just get it right? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like it may not be
You know what I
okay.
think that is? I think that a lot of women suffer with anxiety, and part of like the experience of anxiety is wanting to get it right. So if you're trying your darndest, and then somebody is trying to help you and like give you like throw you a bone, I think the knee-jerk reaction is to feel upset because they have the intention of doing it all right, and it ain't right enough. You know, the
Someone
other
else
thing
just said that.
Hmm?
My girlfriend just said that the other day. It
really?
resonates what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when I talk to women, I was, spoke to him and she was doing too much. You hemming his pants?
Yeah. It's
There's
a
a
lot.
tailor in town? Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? You're hemming his pants? I don't know how to hem pants. Like, did you go on YouTube? Who taught you who's hemming pants? I'm just like, you're doing too much. And she was just so upset. She was like, well, people say they're looking for a wife, and how are you supposed to know if I have wife qualities unless I start displaying them? And so the reality is this: there are just too many daggone rules in the social environment. I mean, on one hand, what you bring to the table as a woman, no man wants a woman he's going to drag. And then if you show that you're gainfully employed, you're leading with masculine energy, it's a lot of rules and everybody's confused, On one hand, we want men to be vulnerable and express their emotions. And then Will Smith is crying on camera. Now he's a beta man. You know what I'm saying? It's just
a beta man. What the hell is that? I've never heard
not
that
an
before.
alpha.
He's not alpha.
Okay, I was like,
you ain't man
it's not giving alpha. So
Yeah.
okay.
Too many rules.
He really want Tupac and he's suffering. He's the beta. Tupac is the alpha, and he went ahead and he went and got I forgot how they tried to typecast Jada Pinkett. People just need to live their lives, and the best way to live your life is stop it with the self-care. Just stop. Because it's a distraction. And I need you to start tapping into self-love. And you be very, very clear that they are very two different things, and focus on loving yourself, because the more you practice grace with yourself, the reason why women are such bitches is because of how we talk to ourselves about ourselves. I'm so fat, my thighs this, that, and third. So now I'm in a
word.
And all I'm doing is wagging my finger at him. You ain't doing this right. You still didn't put the trash
Projecting your stuff onto your girl.
Because she's not loving herself.
Mm-hmm.
He's not into herself. He's not into you, boo, because you're not into you. You don't like you. He don't like you.
Girl, don't make me come to the screen, girl.
Nobody likes you because you don't like you.
You don't like you.
Yeah,
This is stuff I wish I could say in therapy, but I can't.
But I say sometimes I'm like, permission to speak freely. Can I talk like a girlfriend?
Right.
That's
I
what I
do
tell
have
them.
to
I'm
add,
like,
yes.
permission to talk like a girlfriend, and we'll get into it because they
Yes.
already know my brand. They see me on Instagram, so I'm like,
Right.
look, I said I can give you a cute answer, and a lot of women are like, no, just tell it to me. But that's the thing. I have what I call the badass scale. I said from 0 to badass, where are you on the spectrum? And my thing is, until you see yourself as a 10. I'm not talking about, things you can't control, but the things that you can control. If you don't see yourself outside of yourself, like, doggone, she's a badass. That's where you need to start working, because now all those things are going to come out. And I always tell women, you are the one making the choices, but you're mad at him. You're choosing him, but you're mad at him.
Correct.
So my whole thing is teaching women how to tap into their power. Because once you recognize your power, you start using your power, and then you got to own everything, because everything that's in your world is by choice.
Yes. So I guess just to wrap this up, is it used? The short answer is yes. I do. That's what I'm hearing, and I agree. I do want to make it clear that at least I am not saying, I don't think anyone else is saying that something is innately wrong with you. You're a terrible person. That is not what we're saying. What I'm hearing my people saying here is we have the power to take control over what we are trying to project. And that is why you have people like myself, Cassandra, Troy, and Yonci to get y'all together. So I'm gonna wrap this up. I feel like we might need to talk about a part 2 situation.
I just want to say one
yes
thing
before you go.
No,
go ahead.
That the crux of what I'm getting at with the self-love, right? Because even with what Yonci is talking about, some people may misinterpret that. Like, if I think I'm so bad, then I need to get, the baddest guy kind of thing. And it just it's just that it perpetuates that mindset. The reality is that and living in light and grace and love is seeing the best in people, right? And also acknowledging people on their journey. So a relationship that I had to take a real strong step back and recognize that I wasn't loving this man right. I didn't have what he needed and what he deserved in a way of love to inspire him to be his best self. And so we just needed to just like not be together. You can absolutely be with somebody. When you're loving yourself, you can inspire someone to love themselves. But when I grew up with my dad, and this is like a real quick story because I just feel led to share the story. I normally wouldn't, but my daughter did something at school that was just like I was so upset about. And I found myself in my mommy mode thinking about, okay, I got to have this conversation with her, this uncomfortable conversation. And my knee-jerk thought was, I'm going to tell her, my daughter is 6. And in my mind, as I was practicing, I heard myself say, baby girl, I'm so disappointed in you. And when I heard myself say that, I'm just like, that didn't settle with me. And then thankfully, God just took my attention. And I spent some time with myself, and I had like 100 thoughts in about 5 seconds. And one of them was a recollection of how my father spoke to me. My father is Haitian. And in Haitian culture, we have this like the saying that we say, which is "upa want," which literally means, aren't you ashamed of yourself? I grew up in an environment of utilizing shame to determine what I would do and didn't do. So I was going to feel embarrassed about it. I'm not going to do it. No matter how much I might want to explore, I'm not going to do it because I'm afraid that I would shame my parents, shame myself, I'll get into trouble or something like that. And I don't want my daughter living in fear. So imagine growing up with that in the fabric of my DNA, my RNA, my being, and me entering into a relationship with a shame complex. I'm going to inspire my man to feel ashamed of himself if he is not doing XYZ. He's going to feel the energy of scrutiny. He's going to feel the energy of not enough. And his own construct of what his environment is going to attract to me, because he already had that going in the background. He already felt like he had to perform to matter. And then he meets someone like me who's a high performing person, high achieving person. We're just going to be triggering each other. So that's why I stress more than anything, whether your dad was there, your mom was there, this wasn't enough, that wasn't enough. You can't paint your nails enough. You can't wax yourself enough. You cannot beat your face to love. It's not going to work.
You can't.
Not gonna work.
You have to practice. And what self-love is, because people are like, well, how am I supposed to love myself? Really and truly want to know what it is? It comes from like when God spoke and it became, that's what self-love is. You have to speak to yourself in the best of yourself over and over and over and over and over, and because it has to be like an irrigation system at this point. All the dirt and grime and things that are just sticking to you and are almost hardened into cement, you need to irrigate that with pressure, constant, consistent pressure about how amazing you are, not because you did anything different or you're better. And and you'll notice when you start loving yourself, then you begin to the miracles follow. The signs, wonders, and miracles follow. But it takes that consistent loving yourself, and then you'll find, I kind of want to work out today. You know what? I don't want to eat that Big Mac. I think I want to have me a salad. Then those actions start to match the energy that you have. That was the Grammy song right there. And then trying to wrap it up.
Thank you. And thank you for clarifying that, Cassandra, because I understood what you were saying before. But again, for different learners and people need to hear it a certain way. Thank you for breaking that down. And since you had the mic last, I'm going to put your stuff up. Tell us what you want us to know about how to find you, what you got going on as we wrap up tonight's show.
So I'm Ask Miss Cassandra Instagram. That's all that I use right now because I'm old and I don't feel like managing a whole bunch of stuff. But I am actually creating a course called The Game Changer, which is Every Woman Has a Rhythm. And I'm going to, in a simple way, show men on a neurological, biological, social, psychological essence of how a woman is designed, so that and simplify it and demystify it, okay, once and for all, so that the both of them can have a healthy relationship. Because I do not believe in happy wife, happy life. I believe happy spouse, happy house. You know, his feelings and emotions matter. But I'm going to show him how to arrive there in like 3 simple steps.
Oh, that'd be good.
Nice.
I'll be sharing that when that comes out. So thank you, Cassandra. I'm going to go ahead and let you go.
Yes.
Good night. Now we're going to go ahead.
Thank
you guys so much. So then let's have Yonci, I'm going to bring up your stuff so people can know where and how to find you.
Perfect. Thank you to everyone who is joining. I kept looking down because I was looking at the comments too. So I thank you. It's nice that your people were so engaged. But you can find me literally everywhere as Chasing Yonci, anywhere from TikTok to YouTube to Instagram to Facebook to the website, whatever. But the person that I want to work with is the woman who does not feel like she loves herself the way that she should. And if you're not sure if you do or not, look at how you're treating yourself, the type of men that you're entertaining, the decisions that you're making, and how much you like your life or don't like it. So I want to work with women and I let them know what has worked for me. I'm big on really disciplining your thoughts. And as Cassandra was talking about, it's speaking to yourself, really breaking that down, because I feel like there are a lot of technical and clinical terms that are thrown around a lot. But the everyday person is like, what the heck does that look like on a regular daily basis? So I work with women. I have a class on Saturday. If anyone wants to join, you could just reach me on Instagram. But I have another class on Saturday, and we're going to be going over how to build up self-love and how to navigate these dating streets. And I will say this last part. I have a couple of books, but the 2 I'll talk about tonight is First Date 101, A Man's Guide to Dating Men. And I took all the answers from my focus group, the men's answers in the focus group, and I put it into a nice, neat, easy to read guide teaching women how to put their best foot forward on first dates. And for any guys who happen to watch, I wrote a book called Why Women Love, we'll say a-holes, and not the body part, but men. So it explains the psychology behind why women are drawn to certain characteristics. And it's not a negative thing. It's just human nature. So that you guys can then take that blueprint and apply it to themselves and get out of that friend zone. So thank you so much for having me on. I'm really honored to be here, and it's nice to hang out with my friends I recognize here.
Yes, I appreciate you, Yonci.
Thank you.
Good night. And last but not least, we have Mr. Troy Spry. Tell us about what you got going on and how we can find you.
Yeah. And first of all, shout out to you for you and your platform. I love what you're doing. So keep doing it. Keep doing it. But I'm Troy Spry, certified dating and relationship coach. Follow me on Instagram. I just hit 11,000 followers today. 11K, baby.
Okay,
11K today. So follow me on Instagram. And my book is called Teach Me How to Love While What You Don't Know Will Hurt You. I'm always amazed that I've launched this book 4 years ago, and every day there's someone else getting it and they're getting blessed by it. And what I've learned is once you read the book, you want the coaching. Right. So go get a copy of the book via Amazon or go to my Instagram page and follow me. I appreciate you for having me on, and thank you.
Yes, thank you guys. I'm gonna wrap up the show and say goodnight to the couch crew. You gonna meet me backstage or are you leaving?
I'm out.
Bye.
I got to go.
I know that's right. I got to go to bed too, Chad. All right, you guys, that is it. Wellness Wednesday for 11/17/2021. Depending on when you watch this, it's a wrap. I want to thank you guys for commenting, engaging. Hopefully you got a bunch of nuggets out of tonight. I certainly did. And I wanted to say I have a free webinar coming up on December 2nd. I will drop the link. You'll find it on my link in my bio. I will drop it on Facebook. I want you guys to come engage. Hit me up and let's talk about how do we deal with family drama in the holidays. It's annoying, and sometimes being single is even worse for some people. So hopefully you got something out of tonight. Get your questions. Come join me that night, 12/2/21 at 7:30 that day. I've been Christian Jackson. Thank you guys, and good night.